to him that unfortunately on the 29th of May this year we suffered a major setback. We owe it to him to declare to OR Tambo that regardless of this setback, regardless of this pain, regardless of these difficult challenges, betrayal is not an option. We'll never betray you, OR Tambo. We'll never betray your soul. We'll never betray your legacy. We also want to say this, comrades. We might be here, but if generations to come don't know who's lying here, our presence is meaningless. We need to strengthen our resolve that in each and every classroom, each and every curriculum, in each and every school, whether it's private school, public school, or Rania, there must be a chapter in the history of our books about this little OR Tambo. If we can't do that, we would have betrayed him. It must be normal, comrades, even in Orania, to have a teacher saying, "More class, vandaag ons sal lees about Oliver Reginald Tambo." It's a betrayal that we must not accept if it happens. Even those that are at the helm of education currently, even those that are leading the Department of Basic Education, they must know the people's history must be in the people's classroom everywhere. And if they are cowards, Habari Chief Tele, we the brave will lead the revolution. We'll never betray the cause. We'll never betray the cause to ensure that there's total emancipation. But I want to report to President Tambo, the seat of our government, Tshwane, President Tambo, is back under the leadership of the African National Congress. It has created pain, it has created misery to the enemy, but we are not scared. They can insult us, they can do whatever they wish. We remain black, green, and gold, and we are unshakable, and we are not cowards. Cowardice is not an option. Some of us, we are not products of cowards, we are products of heroes like Oliver Tambo. We are not products of cowards, we are products of heroes like Chris Hani. And therefore, those that are cowards, that are not ready to take the struggle forward, they must shift. We are ready to take the baton and lead the struggle for freedom. We are not going to be scared by those that threaten us. We are going to stand firm, because it's through the African National Congress that we can totally liberate our country. Comrades, allow me to call somebody. They claim he was a mayor for 3 hours. The others claim that he sold land that created Eastern Mall in that 3 hours. Let's welcome the former Secretary General of our labor movement, the former chairperson of the South African Communist Party, the current minister responsible for energy resolutions in our country. Comrades, let's put our hands together and have a revolutionary song from Kwede Samson Mantashe. Comrade President.
Amanda, away to Amanda, away to Mata, Arona, Matimba, Aina, Manda, Asu, all power. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Program director, the Tambo family, family Akut, it's our family. Nobody owns that family. We all own that family. Our fundis, religious leaders, all the chaplain general, Dean. I think I was told you are Dean of the church. Members of the NEC present here, I bring together NEC and ministers as one. That is the leadership of the movement. Leaders of the PEC and the Premier of Gauteng as the leader. Members of the RSC and the Executive Mayor of Ekurhuleni, Dr. Tlhakaza. Tlhakaza, you have to go to school, you must be a real doctor. You can't just have doctor as a name. You must go to school. Branches of the ANC present here, and members of the community who are here, members of the diplomatic corps, thank you very much for being here, because your presence represents the presence of your country. Thank you very much. Today in the morning, we went to church, Premier. Went to church. And the church gave us a message twice. And the message was about restoration. Restoration. They gave us an example of restoring Job, and they gave us the example of restoring Bartholomew, so that he was to be restored his sight again. But to me, it meant something deeper than that, Chaplain General. Much deeper than that. It meant that we owe it to OR Tambo and to the ANC to restore the glory of the ANC. That is the essence of that glory, of that restoration to me, that we must restore the glory of the ANC. OR Tambo belongs to a generation of youth leaguers of 1944. That generation is unique in one way. It led the revolution for 5 decades. If you count 1944 to 1994, it's exactly 5 decades. And Tambo belonged to that generation of youth leaguers. They went to the Youth League in 1944, they invaded the NEC in 1949 and led the African National Congress. And they led the revolution for 5 decades. And that honor is something that we must never forget in South Africa. Now, these youth leaguers, this was a special generation, Comrade. I want to tell you, why do I link this today with restoration? We first lost control of major economic centers, the cities of our country. We lost that. We lost the Western Cape, it's a major economic center. We lost this year Gauteng, it's the center, it's the economic hub of the country. We lost KZN, it's the economic hub of this. We can list the reasons for losing the control of those areas. We can, there are many of them. We can take shortcuts, we can do scientific analysis, but the reality of the matter is that we lost. That's why restoration fits the theme of today's celebration of OR Tambo. Because we must regain the control of the country and the political space as the ANC. And I want to trace OR Tambo in the program of action. Program of action, which was translated into the program of the ANC, it was the program of the Youth League, it went to the ANC, and that program of action guided the ANC throughout. It can take different shapes, and half the time, when we talk of Tambo, we talk of the exile. And when we talk of consultative conferences, we normally talk about Morogoro and Kabwe. Very important consultative conference that we forget is Lobatse. The first consultative conference of the ANC was in Lobatse. And OR Tambo was sent out of the country, and Lobatse determined the journey that we're going to be taking over the next 30 years from that time. So we're here today. Tambo led us. And I always said, one thing about Tambo, he was very scriptural and very biblical, Danny. I always remind people that Tambo is the only man I remember was baptized twice. He's the only man I remember who was baptized twice. He was baptized, he went to exile, he came back, he went back to the church and said, you will baptize me again because of many things that happened under my leadership. No other person did that. Only Tambo can be reminded. And he was baptized by the Anglican Church. And the Anglican doesn't baptize you twice, but it did. Number two, it is important that Tambo shaped the program of the ANC. If you talk of any program of the ANC, whether it is shaped in Rogoro or shaped in Kabwe, Tambo is at the center of it. Today, we can boast of being anything and everything, but Tambo provided that leadership under the most difficult times. You know, when we lost the majority on the 29th of May, Comrade Panyaza, we were faced with one challenge. What are we going to do? As we lose the majority, are we going to go to the opposition benches? We said, no, that will be irresponsible. Should we form a minority government? No, it will not be powerful enough. Should we form a grand coalition? We said, no. And we asked the question, with who? We looked at LDP. I know when everybody almost insulted us and said, you form a coalition with the DA. That is not true. I'm going to explain that briefly. We said everybody must come. And people who put condition walked away. Okay. So to me, when people say you should have formed a coalition with MKP or EFF because they are less dangerous, to me, if Floyd could take a public platform and say, our intention is to remove the ANC surgically from power, that is not less dangerous. Because that is not less dangerous. Surgical means you cut. You see, you remove the ANC surgical from power. That was the intention of the EFF. That is not less dangerous. MK wanted to remove a president of the ANC, say, remove. We reminded them that when Zuma was the president of the ANC, EFF put the same condition. We refused, and we're refusing now. Then we said everybody is invited. Those who didn't want to be under the same roof, they left. Now they say, we are sleeping with the enemy. And I asked them, who is this enemy? They say it's the DA. I say that is selective righteousness. Selective righteousness. Because you all sit with the DA in parliament, you serve with the DA in committees, but when it is in the cabinet, you become self-righteous. It's selective. It is not working. We are struggling in a terrain that is not of our own choosing. It's a terrain that was imposed on us by the fact that we lost the majority. And the GNU is a consequence. It's not a plan. Nobody planned the GNU. GNU is a consequence of having lost a majority in the elections. And our restoration will be to regain that majority and begin to govern on our own. That will be restoration. And it will happen if we do the right thing, even when there is a GNU or a PNU and all those things. It's fine. Let's do what is right. ANC members who are in those cabinet posts must do their work and they must talk about it. The problem is that we're not very keen in talking public about what we do. And our opponents exaggerate what they do, even if they only do and graduate what was started by the African National Congress. Now, I'm submitting here, I regard Oliver Tambo as the president of the ANC, who was head and shoulder above all. We can say anything. He was head and shoulder above all. The man was humble, but the man was dedicated. The man led the ANC under the most difficult conditions and kept it intact. One of the issues that the ANC must pay attention to is the question of growing trust deficit between the ANC and the people. And if we're going to do that, one thing we must do is to remember that it is the primary responsibility of the ANC to mobilize every class and stratum of society. So the ANC is not a vanguard of the working class. Okay? And sometimes we confuse these things. And regard the ANC as the vanguard of the working class. It is not. It is having the responsibility to mobilize every class and every stratum of society. And if we do that, then we'll begin to talk about motive forces of the revolution. And what are these motive forces of the revolution? The motive forces of the revolution are all those who stand to benefit from social change led by the ANC. So it is not class-based. Actually, when they are counted, it is said it is working class, it is the rural peasants, it is aspirant capitalists. You see, aspirant capitalists. You know, let me emphasize this thing of aspirant capitalists. People don't appreciate that aspirant capitalists are also the motive forces because they were never given the opportunity to be economically active under apartheid. And the ANC has given them an opportunity to be economically active. Therefore, they are beneficiaries of change. And therefore, they are part of the motive forces. Now, and if the ANC can begin to go back to those basic theories, it will never go wrong. I was talking to one of my comrades last week, comrade. We must never distort a theory of the revolution. The National Democratic Revolution is properly developed and written. It's not just thrown around. You know, we were given 3 contradictions. These 3 contradictions are interrelated. You can't separate them. It's race, it's class, it's gender. So you can't focus on one and leave the other 2. Because if you do that, you are going to commit a mistake. For example, let's say you leave the race. You are going to commit a mistake of thinking that black men have reached the destination. They have not. We still struggle together. 3 contradictions of the colonialism of a special type. Each of us it is a contradiction of the colonialism of a special type. It's race, class, and gender. We're discriminated because we're black. We're super exploited because we're black workers. We're triple oppressed because we're black women. So don't separate them, integrate them, and try to resolve all 3 of them if we're going to have our freedom. If we have not resolved all 3 of them, we have not achieved our freedom. Internationally, we must always express our gratitude to all countries, particularly the Nordic countries, I must say, who supported us during our struggle. And we should continue supporting those countries that are actually struggling. The genocide in Palestine is not a Middle East issue, it's not an Afghan issue, it's a global issue. Because, you know, this thing of a selected nation that must not be touched, but it kills people in thousands, is something that must be debated openly. We can't allow a genocide to go under religion. One priest was reminding us, Uguti, do you know that Jesus himself was not a Christian? He was belonging to the Jewish faith. Okay, Christians are after him. Okay, so this thing of looking into one nation and say this is a selected nation, therefore it can attack everybody in the Middle East, and we can't say so because religiously we're loyal. That is not loyalty. That is being indifferent to a massacre. The people of Palestine are being massacred, and we can't be indifferent. And religion will never justify indifference when there is a massacre. We are actually beneficiaries of support and solidarity. When we were oppressed by apartheid regime, we are today free. And when I go to Limpopo, they tell me that Babata Mwanamungu. I tell them that Nagi Mwanamungu go Limpopo. Mwanamungu. Bafunumda numkuba. SNK numda numkuba. Because my freedom is not provincial. I'm free in the whole country. And my freedom cannot be limited. And therefore, when we try to be limiting ourselves and be regionalistic, we must remember that the ANC destroyed regionalism, tribalism, because those were regarded as the most backward forms of politics. We can't go back there. We can't go back there. So we're celebrating Tambo Dali, but more important is recommitment of all of us to restoration of the African National Congress. If we can restore the ANC, anything we do is hollow. It's like a hollow sound. If we say we're committed to the legacy of OR Tambo, but we can't restore the ANC, it's a hollow sound. It will only be meaningful when we restore the ANC to its rightful place in society. One of the best things about the ANC is that its revolution is theorized and is documented. So you don't need to do anything. If we're not reading, we're going to miss the game because we're lazy to read, and therefore we don't understand the revolution in details. We're here today to celebrate OR Tambo, life well spent. You can't separate Oliver from Adelaide, unfortunately. Whether you want or you don't want, you can't separate them. That's right. So when we celebrate Oliver, we celebrate Oliver and Adelaide. Now, you know, we've gone through a very detailed analysis of the situation, and we made all sorts of observations. We called it diagnostic, and we went through it. And I was telling them, I'm not a doctor. I said, listen guys, a diagnosis is only as good as you can get the correct prescription. If you do diagnosis and you don't get the correct prescription, that diagnosis doesn't help you. You will die with the diagnosis. So we must revive the ANC. We must stand up in honor of OR Tambo, in honor of Adelaide Tambo. We must revive the ANC. The ANC must be restored. That is my message of the day, is the restoration of the African National Congress. Thank you.
I'm being lobbied. Let us have a good one. We may be seated. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I have to confirm that we do stand with the people of Palestine. And Arima Kwala, we are the products of Mama Winnie Mandela. We are the products of Mama Adelaide Tambo. I'm going to now call Imbogoto, the best amongst us, the whip of council of the city of Ekurhuleni, to do the vote of thanks for us. Malibongwe, igama lamakosikazi.
Siyabuza, thina sinemibuzo, thina siyabuza, thina sinemibuzo. Mandla, thank you very much, comrades. Thina siyabuza, thina sinemibuzo, thina siyabuza, thina sinemibuzo. Thank you very much, comrades. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Oliver, Regional Tambo. Long live. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Oliver, Regional Tambo. Long live. Long live the undying spirit of Mama Adelaide. Long live. Thank you, Program Director. Honorable Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Mr. Gwede Mandwashe, and other ministers present. Honorable Premier Panyaza Lisufi and his executive. The Speaker of Council, Councillor Ntabiseng Shivenga, who is our Program Director today. Members of the Mayoral Committee and the chairpersons of Section 75 committees. Councillors and senior officials of the city of Ekurhuleni, the Tambo family and Makhabane, distinguished guests, our pastors and leaders of faith-based organizations, all leaders from the international, national, and the branches, Umbutho Katatu Tambo, and a home of his choice that he has chosen, the African National Congress. Most importantly, residents of our beloved city and all protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to all of you. Today, we stand on a sacred ground to not just honor and pay a homage to a remarkable man. We do so also rekindle a legacy that captures the essence of spirit that has shaped our nation's history and continued to echo in its core. As we stand in his memory, in the presence of the giants of both the past and the present, I offer these words of thanks not just to all of us who gathered here today, but more so to our distinguished speakers who reminded us of who OR Tambo continues to be. Words that come from a place of deep gratitude and respect. Thank you to our Honorable Minister, Gwede Mandwashe, for such a moving and rejuvenating keynote. We want to thank you, not just reminding us of the character, the skill and commitment through which President OR Tambo provided leadership through difficult days. But we want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for reminding us that President Oliver Reginald Tambo lives in all of us, and that we should embody the ideals that he lived for. Ideals such as courage, humility, justice, and above all relentless dedication to the freedom and dignity of every South African. As we reflect on his life, let us keep in mind that OR Tambo was more than a historic figure, but a beacon that continues to illuminate our path forward. To our Honorable Premier, Panyaza Sophie, thank you for your unwavering leadership. Your words today reminded us that the torch passed down from leaders like OR Tambo must continue to burn brightly in our hands. Through your stewardship, Gauteng remains a province at the forefront of the fight for equality, education, and empowerment. Your vision keeps alive the very spirit OR Tambo lives for. To our Executive Mayor, Alderman Nkosindiphile Kakaza, we are deeply grateful for our wisdom and commitment. Under your guidance, the seat of Ekurhuleni stands a statement to the values of that OR Tambo fought for. A city that strives for unity, social justice, and opportunity for all. Your leadership is the bridge that carries our past victories into the future, and today your presence reaffirmed that OR Tambo's legacy will never be forgotten in the city. To the OR Tambo family, particularly Mr. Dali, your presence with us today is a blessing. You carry the heart of this great leader with you, and through your voice, we are reminded that OR Tambo's legacy is not just national, but deeply personal. We thank you for continuing to share his spirit with us and for allowing us to be custodians of a piece of him in this city that bears his name. To our very Reverend Matthews, thank you for reminding us that the President OR Tambo was not just an internationalist, but a man of God. We have learned and aware that the love of OR Tambo for the people of South Africa was so much that if he did not have to carry struggle for the liberation of his people, he would have wanted to be a church priest and serve humanity through word of God. The celebration of this larger-than-life soul would have been incomplete without calling on the heavens of more blessings. To all our esteemed guests, I extend heartfelt gratitude to you for being here today, as your presence adds immense values to this celebration. Your involvement serves a powerful reminder of our collective duty, uphold spirit, principles championed by OR Tambo. Whether you come from a civic organization, you come from government or other fields, your dedication to the values of OR Tambo embodied strength, the unity we strive foster in our nation. Let me extend words of gratitude to my special guest today, the delegation from Ingoza Hill local municipality in the OR Tambo district, the delegation from the Sidibeng district municipality and OR Tambo district municipality that is represented here. Your attendance elevates the significance of this event and for what we are truly thankful. To all those who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this day a reality, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. Lastly, to the people of Ekurhuleni and South Africa at large, your presence here is the heartbeat of this event. OR Tambo did not struggle for power or for glory. He struggled for you, Each one of you is the living embodiment of his dream. As we leave this place, let us remember that it is up to us to carry that dream forward. Let us work each day to bring about the South Africa that OR Tambo fought for. One where the citizens will walk in dignity, equality, and opportunity. I leave you with this thought. I quote, OR Tambo did not wait for change. He fought for it. Let us be the generation that not only remembers his legacy, but lives it. May Oliver Regional Tambo's memory continue to guide and light our way forward. May we all arrive safe as we travel back to our various homes, destinations. I thank you, Program Director.
Thank you. Thank you. We are almost at the end. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Before we close, thank you very much. Asibambeni lapha emuva ma comrade, asibambeni. Before we close, you may be seated, Honorable Minister. Before we close, I would just like to announce that later today at 6 p.m. we have the OR Tambo Memorial Lecture that is going to be taking place at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center in Boksburg. With that being said, I would like to thank you all very much. I know we always say behind every successful man there's a successful woman. So indeed we cannot separate Mme Adelaide from Tate Tambo. And it is the reason why young women like myself are able to take such platforms, Honorable Minister, because Mme Adelaide have laid a foundation for us to be here. So I appreciate the opportunity, humbly appreciate the opportunity that you afforded me by listening to me. And I believe that today, indeed, the spirit of OR Tambo has been revived. That Executive Mayor, we will continue to be present with our people. We will continue to be a responsive government of the people of the city of Ekurhuleni. I thank you, and in closing, I would like to appreciate each and every one of you who has made it here today. Long live the spirit of OR Tambo, long live! Long live the spirit of OR Tambo, long live! Thank you, you may be dismissed.
power, Mos.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, I'm starting. Members of the media, we ready? Yes. 5. Thank you very much, members of the media. Let's go. I hope that I have your right to proceed. You're all okay? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. On this occasion of the memorialization of the longest-serving president of the African National Congress, President Tambo, the ANC leadership, as well as the city of Ekurhuleni, both government and the organization that Tambo belonged to and lived for, are here to respect him through a wreath-laying ceremony that has just taken place. The national chairperson of the ANC, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, will make a few remarks, after which I can take questions.
I think we can go straight to questions, but all I'm saying, wreath laying is an effort to reconnect with our ancestors. That's what it symbolizes. We're reconnecting with the spirit of Oliver Tambo. We don't just shout long live the spirit of Oliver Tambo. We're reconnecting with it. You can ask questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. SABC?
It's
Natasha Queen from the SABC. So Natasha, do you think that OR Tambo would be happy with the state of the ANC right now, currently as it stands? And I mean, you speak about restoration, you speak about the renewal of the ANC. The NEC is currently sitting and it's deliberating on strengthening the integrity tradition. Time and time again, the ANC always speaks out against corruption, but it seems as if nothing is actually being done to actually address those issues.
It's easy to treat past leadership as angels and treat current leaders as devils. That is the easiest effort in life. Tambo led this through very difficult times. I don't know how many of you as journalists remember that. Actually, he wanted to step down in Cabo. He had to be persuaded to continue leading because things were not as good as they look like today. It was a difficult period. He was persuaded to go back and rebuild the ANC. So the ANC has gone through various stages in its life and it has gone through various difficulties. It has overcome all of them. Problems that we're having now, we have a hope that we're going to overcome them, all these problems.
Thank you, Chair. Do I have any taker? We also are joined by the provincial leadership,
The Premier.
the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, as well as the Premier.
I'm led to the restoration.
And Comrade Chair, Comrade Dr. Karaza, Ekurhuleni, as well as the Mayor, Executive Mayor in the city of Ekurhuleni. Sorry that I did not acknowledge. Do we have any questions?
Idea as well.
I do have a question. I'm not here, so I don't really know what Natasha asked. But I just wanted to ask in terms of what you think OR Tambo would have said about the GNU and how the ANC should restore something.
About GNU. I don't think he will talk about GNU. Tambo will talk about the period we're going through. You know, take your time as journalists. Read the history of the ANC. Read what happened under the leadership of Pixel Sagasen in the 30s. Read what happened under President Moroka of the ANC. Once you do that, you will know that the history of the ANC is cyclical. And Tambo appreciated that in detail. So he would have appreciated that we lost the majority, we protected political power, we protected governance. He would appreciate that. Elements of the issues he would have views, but we're hoping that we've embodied those views.
Okay, okay. But that's you're now being provoked. The very last one, Shazi.
Nkosinathi Shazi, Power FM News. Mr. Mantashe, do you think that deterioration or the fall of the ANC is partly due to the level and quality of politics? When I look back at Mr. Tambo, very sound individual, well articulated, well educated, one of the longest serving members. And when we look to the ANC now, perhaps the situation has been different. But do you think Jengobi ANC finds itself in this situation, it is cause of a drop in the quality in ANC politics in Gabon?
Let me give you a basic lesson. You know, everything goes through various stages. And if the ANC can stay the same, actually it will rot, you know that. Renewing itself means that it must go through various stages. It must allow younger generations to filter in and come with fresh ideas. And that is what's happening in the ANC. We could do it better. My own view is that Tambo would like to be a lifetime president. He would have appreciated that there is a younger generation that is coming in and it must be guided. That's all. So I don't know when you call off the collapse and the decline. Actually, we have an ANC under conditions of legality, where it is an all-comer organization. It's quite different from an organization that operated under illegal conditions, where security and discipline were intertwined. Now it's an all-comer. You can also be a member of the ANC. And sometimes when you arrive, we discover that you are actually here with bad intentions, but you are here. And that is what the ANC is. It's big now, but it is having all sorts of people.
All right, with that, we are adjourned, colleagues.
You want to join?
No, I'm just, would I be pushing it if he weighs in on the current discussions that are happening at the ADC?
You want to join?
We will weigh in at an
Okay,
appropriate
bye-bye.
time. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Without joining ANC?
Angisebenzela South Africa.
ANC is South Africa. It's for another vehicle.
That's why